You've probably heard me talking a lot lately about how I want to shop more responsibly, and this is definitely going to be one of the guiding factors in my wardrobe mission for the year ahead. I'm going to be doing the 5-piece French wardrobe challenge, which means 5 key pieces per season. Back in December, I actually did a blog post where I listed a whole bunch of the brands that I wanted to try for the year ahead, one of which I'm going to be talking about in this video. But essentially a lot of them were more ethical and sustainably minded, which I personally really like, or else they were ones which delivered really good value for money. So they might be a little bit more expensive, but you get what you pay for. Keeping in mind that it's 5 key pieces per season for me, and I wanted to start that off from January, I decided to pick up a few things from Sezane just before Christmas because I really wanted to try out the brand. I wanted to kind of see what all the hype was about and see if it was really worth the money, because the items on the website are a little bit expensive. So it's sort of one of those quintessential cool girl Parisian brands. Initially I wasn't actually sure whether or not they were an ethical, sustainable brand. However, they have this great page on their website which lists all of their commitments and the initiatives that they've got in place to move towards more ethical and sustainable methods of production and using more sustainable materials, which I think is fantastic. So I wanted to talk through a little bit of that first before I mention what I got, what the whole purchasing process was like, my thoughts on the quality, and whether or not I would buy from there again. So a few of the initiatives that they've laid out in their commitments page is that they want to produce really high quality items that are built to last, so things that you're going to have in your wardrobe for a really long time. They're also trying to introduce more sustainable materials into the production process and their supply chain. So they, from what I understand, they're going to be introducing linen into their summer collection this year, which I think is fantastic because that is such a sustainable material. I've done a whole blog post on it. I'm going to link it in the description box below. But essentially they want to use more dead stock fabrics. They make sure that there is no waste at the end of the production process. They donate every single month to charity, which I think is really wonderful. And there's a few other initiatives in place too. I think one of the first things that they did, or at least from what I understand, is that they switched all of their packaging to more eco-friendly packaging. So it's all recyclable, which I think is great. Now let's talk about the whole delivery experience and ordering from the website. So I found that whole purchasing process really simple, and my items were actually dispatched really quickly. So I think I placed the order on maybe a Tuesday and I got 2 packages. I'm going to talk about that in a minute, but I received one on Sunday and then one on Monday. So very fast considering that they were coming from France. The packaging that you receive, so there's 2 kinds and I've got both here. So the first kind comes in a little paper envelope like this, and I love the fact that it has your name on here. I'm going to do a little close-up, but it's personalized, so it does feel very personal, and it feels like that experience is just for you. Then the larger packaging that they have is just a box that is like this, and again it says Bonjour Jamie Lee on here, and when you open it up, and this is I think a bit of a nicer experience, the interior is this absolutely beautiful blush pink, and it's got a French saying here which I'm not even going to try to pronounce, but it's got it translated here into English, which says basically the French way to say live madly. So very sweet. Everything is then packaged up in some tissue paper. Yeah, so that's kind of what it's like inside. Now I have heard some people mention that they received a additional little gift from the brand. I was not one of the people who did receive anything additional. I'm not sure if there is a minimum spend that is required before they will pop a little something special in there, but personally I'm actually glad I didn't receive anything else. I'm trying to downsize everything that I have, so I carefully selected what I bought from the website. I didn't really need anything extra. The one little nitpicky thing I will say is that one of the items that I purchased was on pre-order. I didn't really realize it at the time, and so I got 2 parcels. However, they shipped out 1 day apart, so I would have liked the opportunity at checkout to actually decide whether or not I wanted to wait until the pre-order item was available to ship, or if I wanted them to come separately, just because obviously that adds to the carbon emissions and it's additional packaging that it didn't really need. So that's the only thing I'll mention, but super fast service. I think that the packaging is really lovely, and I like the fact that it's recyclable. Now let's talk through the actual items that I bought and my thoughts on them. So I decided to buy 3 items. They're all tops. Bought 1 top and 2 jumpers, and each item cost 120 US dollars. So that's about 167 Australian dollars with the current exchange rate. I will preface this by saying that when I bought all these items, I didn't bother to check the fabric content, which is something that I usually do religiously. I'm not sure why I didn't. I'm not sure if it was because I was tired or what, but I didn't. So I had a little bit of a surprise when these items arrived. I'm gonna talk you guys through that. The first item I want to talk about is the blouse, and I decided to buy this because I have a really beautiful pleated top from Elizabeth & James. You guys may be familiar with it. I'm gonna put a photo here so that you can see. It's in a gorgeous ivory silk, and the pleating detail on it is really delicate. It's just so eye-catching, and it's just really special, and I feel really amazing every single time I wear it. So when I spotted this, it looked like a really gorgeous alternative, but in the black and with a slightly different cut. So I thought it would make me feel just as special. And it is the Sybil blouse. Now this is the item that was on pre-order, so this arrived separately in that little pouch, and it's got a V-neck here with this really lovely little lace detailing here, and then it's got the micro pleat, or I think these are called knife pleats, which are finer at the top and then they're slightly larger at the bottom. I don't know if you can see that, but it ends up kind of having a slight peplum effect. So it's slightly more fitted here, and then it sort of, I guess, billows out at the ends. The sleeves, again, they're quite loose and they have that gorgeous little pleating effect. The body of the top is actually lined, whereas the sleeves are not, and at the ends of the sleeves you have this little lace cuff detail which is elasticated. The one thing I didn't realize, but I noticed it when I was putting this on the hanger, is that there are actually some little poppers here on the inside so that you can attach the top to your bra straps. Now let's actually talk about this blouse, because I have to say, when I tried it on, I was really disappointed. This did not look like what I expected it to look like. I thought it looked gorgeous on the model. I'm going to insert the model photo here. But on me, it just sort of, I think it felt really, really short. I'm not sure if it's because I have really narrow shoulders, but I found that the cut of the blouse, because it is quite wide across the chest, it was really unflattering on me. And the material is 100% polyester. And you guys know how I feel about polyester clothing. It's just not really something I want to be adding to my wardrobe. So for that reason alone, that's enough to make me want to send this back. And actually I am going to return this top, but I just found, yeah, it fell really short. I've also noticed that it picks up fluff really, really easily. And Luke and I have 3 pets, one of which is a ragdoll cat who sheds a lot. So I can't really keep anything in my closet that is going to pick up hair too easily, because it just is the quickest way for me to look really disheveled. I do think the details on it are really pretty, like I said, but I just don't think the fit is there for me, and because it's polyester, that sort of automatically makes it a bit of a no-go for me. I did think the neckline was really nice otherwise. The back, how it has that deep V as well, I think is really beautiful, and it's not sheer at all through the body, which is nice. I kind of think that's what you need. But for me, this one is a no, so sadly I'm going to have to send this one back. This was a size 36, which is kind of the equivalent to US 4 or Australian 8, for those of you wondering. There was one item on the Sezane website that I really wanted to get my hands on, and it was the Barry sweater. And I feel like everyone was wearing this maybe a month or 2 ago. I saw it everywhere on YouTube. I saw it all over my favorite blogs, and I just thought it was such a gorgeous piece. I love the fact that it could be worn both front ways and back ways, so you could have the buttons on the front or on the back. It's essentially a cardigan, but it can be worn like a sweater. And I really love the idea of any purchases that I make being super versatile, whether it's because they can be dressed up or dressed down, or because they actually can be worn multiple different ways. Unfortunately, because I really like that sort of teddy bear brown, that really lovely caramel color, that was completely sold out. And actually I think pretty much every single color, every single size in the Barry sweater was sold out. But they had a similar style, but it was more of a crew neck instead of a V-neck, called the Gaspard jumper. So that was what I decided to get instead, just because there's a very similar cardigan in cashmere from Maybelline, which I've been eyeing up for probably the better part of a year. And I thought that this might be a really good alternative, and so I figured I would give it a go. So this is what the Gaspard jumper looks like. It's going to be doing all sorts of funny things because it's a light color. I went for the ecru, which is just an off-white. And the fabric content of this, so it's a bit of a mix actually. Let me The fabric content is 37% super kid mohair, 37% alpaca, and 26% polyamide. So the actual hand feel of it is so soft. This actually feels really, really nice. It's not itchy at all, at least not from me touching it with my hands. It is really fluffy, so I do think that it would molt or shed a little bit as you wear it. And Yeah, I do quite like the kind of style of it. I think these little pearlescent buttons down the center are really nice. And again, I love the fact that you can wear it 3 ways. I again went for the size 36, which is the, I guess it's like an equivalent of an 8. And I think it's a bit too big for me. I think this is at least a full size too big for me. You guys will see from the cutaways, you can tell me what you think, but it's very, very loose through the body. A lot more so than what I was looking for. And I'm not sure if it's maybe the weave of the fabric, but I don't know that I love how it sits on me. It is slightly sheer as well, and I don't know if that would be every single iteration of this sweater or if it's just the fact that it's this ivory ecru shade. It's slightly longer, so I'd say it goes down to about my hip. And I did find the top button of this really, really difficult to undo. I don't know if that's me, but the other ones were fine. So I just wanted to mention that as well. It's got nice long sleeves. I think these kind of cut off at a really lovely point just at the end of the wrist. They're not too short or anything like that. Of the 3 items that I bought, this one actually was my favorite. However, I still think I'm going to send it back because I have my heart set on the Bowery sweater, which has that V-neck line, which I think would have been much more flattering on me than this one is. This one feels a little bit Stepford Wives. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's the color and that sort of pearlescent, lovely little pearlescent button detail, but it just doesn't really feel me. And I want to make sure when I'm adding something to my closet that it really is going to be something that I see myself reaching for years to come, and not just something that I'm buying because it's nice. So while I think this is a really beautiful sweater, it is going to go back. The fact that it's got polyamide in the blend of the knit, that also to me is a little bit of a turn off. I would have preferred if it was just 100% natural fibers. Now I wouldn't say that that's a deal breaker for me because I have other sweaters like that in my closet, but I did just want to flag it in case that was something that was a concern for you guys. The final item you guys will have seen floating behind me, but it is this really, really stand out blush pink sweater, and this is called the Dwee sweater, I believe. And I have to say, this just reminds me of something I would have had when I was a kid. The thing that drew me to it was the gorgeous color. What I noticed about my favorite items from last year and the things that I really gravitated towards was that pink, and not necessarily just a muted pink, but a nice kind of vibrant punchy pink like this was something that I found myself reaching for a lot. It was kind of a color that I found complemented my existing wardrobe really well, and one that I feel really good in. And so when I saw this, I kind of felt like it sort of embodied a lot of what I loved in my wardrobe last year, and I thought it would be a really versatile piece. But I hate the way the fabric feels, and I have to say, this just, it feels really cheap, unfortunately. It is soft, but it feels really cheap. It does not feel like it cost 180 or 170 Australian dollars, unfortunately. So the fabric makeup of this one is 90% nylon, 32% kid mohair, and 28% merino wool. Now I don't know, I'd say probably it's the mohair and nylon mix that are making it feel really cheap, but that combination I really am not a fan at all. I do quite like the way that this sweater fits, however I think it's got a really nice collar detail, which I think is really lovely. I love the sort of weave to it and how there are these sort of slightly open woven parts here on the side. I again went for the size small, 36, US 4, AU 8. It's just sort of a very basic sweater. I'm going to show you guys a close-up of it because it does have lots of little fibers and hairs which are just, can you, oh my gosh, can you see that? Yeah. And that are just kind of coming off the sweater. So this is one that is going to molt a lot. So if that's not something that you like, you probably will not like this. But yeah, I'm really disappointed. I have to say I was expecting a lot more because I've really only heard good things about the brand. I haven't heard a single bad thing about it, aside from a couple comments that I got on my blog. So I will say I'm not really sure if it's the fact that I've only heard good things about the brand that really shaped the way that I felt about it receiving it, but I can just say as a paying customer, I'm not really happy with what I purchased, so I'm going to be sending all 3 items back. So it's a little bit disappointing for me because I had such high hopes for the brand. I think they've got some really gorgeous items, and there's actually a lovely blouse that I would love to buy, which has a deep V and a ruffle detail. It's very simple. I'm going to put a photo here. Actually, I'll link it in the description box below, but I checked and that one is 100% merino wool. So that is definitely something that I think I will purchase for maybe the winter ahead. But again, I think I'm going to pay a lot more attention to the details if I plan on buying anything else from Sezane. So that's everything that I bought from the brand. I would love to know if you guys have made a purchase, and if so, what you thought, or if you're planning on buying anything, what it is that you're planning to get and why. I am definitely trying to ask myself a lot more questions when it comes to actually making any new purchases about the longevity of how long I'm going to have it in my wardrobe, and also how versatile it is, whether I'm ultimately really happy with the purchase as well, because I think that's really important. So I don't know if that means that I've developed some slightly higher standards, but I will just say that these purchases unfortunately did not live up to them. But in saying that, I am 100% open to exploring the brand a little bit more, so if you guys have got any suggestions for anything else that I should maybe check out or consider purchasing in the future, I would love to know. Obviously, I'm cutting back on how much I buy, so I want to buy really carefully, and I am also really aware that not everything that a brand puts out is going to be excellent. Same goes for so many of the other brands that I love. Anyway, that is it from me for this video. I hope that you enjoyed it. I'm so sorry that it was not a super positive experience. Unfortunately, when you're shopping online, a lot of the time you do not know what you are getting, and it's until you receive the parcel and you kind of have that whole unboxing experience and try everything on that you really get a feel for what it is that you've purchased. Thank you guys again for watching, and I'll see you soon. Bye.